bad beings. This place is too powerful for them. They can't come close. You know that story which I had before? It's about this time when one of my disciples, she was a Thai girl. She invited her mother, her elderly mother from Thailand, to stay in Perth. And her elderly mother had no one else to look after her. So, it was like looking after your parents. And so she invited her mother to Perth, looked after her. When her mother became sick, she went into hospital, and it looked like it might be her last illness. They wasn't sure, the doctors couldn't say. So this Thai girl went to see one of these mediums. One of these people who could leave their body and travel in the astral body, who could actually find out, whether her mother was going to live or die. So this Thai girl gave, it's only $20 to this medium. And all the medium wanted to know, what's the name of your mother? What's the hospital? What's the ward? What's the room number? So I can find her. And I'll come back and tell you whether, because you look at her aura, whether her sickness is going to be terminal or whether she's going to recover. So I've been giving her the $20. The lady went into trance. She disappeared went unconscious for about 20 minutes. When she came out of consciousness again, she immediately handed the $20 back to this Thai girl. And the Thai girl said, "What are you giving it back to me for?" And the medium said, "Look, I found that hospital, I found that ward, I found that room, but I couldn't go in." He said, "I haven't seen this before in all my life as a medium. There was a force field around your mother." That's how she described it, as a Western medium. There was a force field around that mother, and I just could not penetrate it. I couldn't get close enough to check out to see whether your mother was going to live or die. I'm terribly sorry. That's why I'm giving you this $20 back. I just couldn't do it. But by the way, who is your mother? Why has she got a force field like that? And this Thai girl said, "Oh, my mother's a Buddhist nun. She's been a Buddhist nun for about 20, 30 years. At which the medium just got so upset. "Why didn't you tell me that beforehand? Because we can't get close to people like that. They've got too much power." And that's just one story amongst many. When you've got that degree of power, you're keeping your precepts, you've done lots of merits, you're a meditator, you've got more power than these lower spirits. Heaps more power. They just can't come close to you. If you wanted to use that power, you can send them packing. Say, "Go!" And they have to go. You're more powerful. That's why when monks are around, if they go in a house as ghosts, the ghosts get terrified. We've got far more power than ghosts. I remember years and years ago when I first went to Australia, this guy was painting a wall, and he turned around to us and he says, "My God, who are you?" He was apparently a witch. And he trained his mind in witchcraft. And he said, "You guys just don't realize how much power you have." He looked at the monk with me and he said, "He's not got power, he's in trouble." Sure enough, and he didn't know the fellow, just walking down the street. He was about to disrobe. He picked him up straight away. But monks have power. And you've got that power because you've been meditating. So that's what you don't have to worry about being possessed. My goodness, I've got to go through these questions quickly. It's 9:10. I've only gone through a couple. Ajahn Brahm, thank you for your guidance on nimitta this morning. I believe that nimitta has now become my friend. Ah, lovely. Good friends. I'm not certain whether to follow this friend or to abandon it in order to continue my journey. Good friends are part of your journey. They're kalyana mittas. So hold the hand of your good friend nimitta, and you'll be a lot of friends. You have wonderful times together. And Mrs. Nimitta will take you right into the jhana house and will leave you there while the Buddha teaches you Dhamma. So, great. Make friends with your nimitta. Don't abandon your nimitta. When you found a good friend, stay with them forever. Ajahn Brahm, cessation of feeling and perception, the highest attempt of the Buddha Arahats. Please correct my view if my view is not right or goes wrongly or a wrongly asked question. Before parinibbana, only mental feeling is ceased. Since physical form of Buddha Arahats still suffer, then perception, which is mental stage, logically should still remain. If so, please advise what exactly is the meaning of cessation of feeling and perception. After attaining Nibbana, form, both mental, physical, feeling and perception, cease completely as self. Therefore, no more self-rebirth. End of all suffering. Though impermanent in nature, Buddha's relics as form still remain as linking evidence. Buddha's non-self wisdom formation still remains as Dhamma teaching that you, Sangha, are teaching us today. What that really means is the cessation of perception and feeling is the temporary cessation of mind. So when I say you're letting go of things in meditation, you are really letting go. You let go of all your possessions to come in here. You let go of your family, your work to meditate. When you sit down, you let go of time. When you meditate further, you let go of the thinking. You let go of your body. You let go of your five senses until you've only got the mind left. And you let go of the will, which is half of the mind, to go into the deep meditations called the second jhana and above. You know what the difference between the second, third, fourth jhanas and the immaterial jhanas are? It's just you let go of the mind. Consciousness starts to fade away. Gets more and more refined. Just before the cessation of perception and feeling, you have this amazing state of neither perception nor non-perception. What the hell does that mean? I'll tell you what that means. Is what you're seeing is cessation, but you are seeing that cessation. Your object is no perception, but you're perceiving no perception. Therefore, it's not really non-perception, it's perception, but it's seen as non-perception. Understand? Because that's what it's like. You have to experience it to know. And it's just things are about to completely cease. And then they cease. The knower has stopped. When things disappear, which are not supposed to disappear, then you understand what impermanence is all about. Impermanence is not seeing the rise and fall like waves going up and down on an ocean. That's simple. Imagine you're watching the ocean. You see the waves go up, the waves go down. If you think that's rise and fall, it's wrong. That's something is always there, the ocean going up and going down. There's still something permanent. Seeing rise and fall is when you're watching that ocean, the waves go up, the waves go down. And suddenly, unexpectedly, not only the whole ocean disappears, but also the land which contains that ocean completely vanishes from existence. Now that is shocking, because oceans are not supposed to just disappear like that. Or it's like you watch a television and you see the programs come and go. You switch from channel to channel to seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, or feeling or knowing channel, the 6 channels on your television station called the mind. Now you think that is quite obvious. Of course the channels keep switching over and there's different programs on each channel. But then one day you're watching your TV called your body and mind, and you see not just the channels flip over, you see the whole television set disappear. The whole thing has vanished. And that is not covered in the warranty. And that's really spooky, because it's not supposed to disappear like that. That's what delusion says anyway, it's not supposed to disappear. But it does. Even your mind disappears. That's like the ocean, and all the land which surrounds it has all gone. Nothing left. Now that is weird. So weird that anyone who has that experience of full cessation will emerge from that attainment either an anagami or an arahat. There's no other possibilities. The Dhamma there is just so obvious. It's like you've gone up on top of that mountain, very, very high, to the peak of the mountain. You have to see the view. It's all around you in every direction. In fact, you only go to the very top of the mountain, but just a little below the summit. Instead of watching the view, it is a possibility you could be facing into the mountain and not see the view. But on the top of the mountain, in all directions, you have to see the view. There's no other possibility. Insight has to happen. You just cannot miss it. What you see, there's no one here. Absolutely no one. Even the knower is not a self. Profoundly, deeply, you become a non-returner or an arahant. As a result of that experience. So cessation, that's what cessation is. When you come back from that experience, descend the mountain, then you have your mind and your body again. But it's true, the arahats understand what's going on, so their body has suffering, but the mind never suffers. It's just cause and effect, because there's nobody in there to hold on to the suffering anymore. It's all gone. Suffering is, but not the person who suffers. Ajahn Brahm, you mentioned about going into the center of the breath, the silence of pain. Does that mean focusing, zooming in on the breath? Would that not be the doer doing again, or is it the knower who would one know we are doing it correctly during the process? It's the doer which takes you away from the center. When you do something, you're not being peaceful, you're not settling down. Every time you scratch, you move your body. Every time you think, you move the mind. Every time you do something, you disturb the process. Shh. Say that to your mind. Shh. Be still. Even in Christianity, it's in one of the Psalms, be still and know that thou art God, it says. Now, it doesn't mean like the physical being creator. Actually, it is because you are the creator of the universe. The origin of the universe, the Buddha said, and its cessation lie within its fathom-long body and mind. So, when you go really still, shh, it's stopping the doing, allows you to go inwards. Any doing, you move outwards. There's a word in Pali called the asavas. Sometimes it's called the taints or the cankers. It literally means the outflowings of the mind. And very often the Buddha said, like, the Four Noble Truths, it's like the asavas, the four asavas. They use them as almost alternatives. To know the asavas, the outflowings, its origin, its cessation, away to the origin of the asavas, which is the Eightfold Path again. Those outflowings of the mind, you can understand what that word means in your meditation. You're sitting there and it goes out to lunch. It goes out to your family. It goes out to the experience which you hope to have next. It goes out to the body. Anywhere but going inwards. That's the doer. Makes you go out. If you're at home and you don't do anything, you stay inside. If you want to do something, then you start moving around. Eventually you're out of the house. You're going doing something. But when you don't do anything, you stay where you are and you go deeper in. So, focusing in is not doing. If you try and do focusing in, you'll always go out. You'll never be able to focus in. If you leave things alone, you go in. I give a simile like this evening about the 1,000-petal lotus. That's for this evening. You mentioned about... let's try this. Didn't know one already. Center of the breath. Next one. How long does it take for the nima to turn from white to crystal or brilliant? There is no time when you're watching the nimitta. Let go of time. So there's only the present moment. When there's a present moment, how can there be minutes or hours? All time is a measurement. You have to go off into the future or back into the past to make a measurement. In the present moment, there's no time at all. That's why you can go into meditation and be timeless, free from all the minutes and hours. That's wonderful. Hopefully you have those timeless meditations. You're sitting there, you don't know how long it's gone. 3 hours, 1 hour, 10 minutes, who cares? Because time is one of those disturbances of the mind. In the present moment, you're still. Which is why the more still you are, the more that time has no meaning. If you get into jhana and die while you're in jhana, you get born in one of these heaven realms, the jhana realms, where you last for many eons. Universes come and universes go, and you're still meditating. Isn't that wonderful? Being so still. Big bangs come, solar systems form, cataclysmic supernova, throw dust throughout the whole universe. The whole process of evolution comes and goes, and you're just sitting there absolutely still. And another one comes and you're still, silent and peaceful, sitting in the depth of bliss, completely unaware of the passage of time, because you're only in one moment. The deep meditations last a long time. If you die, it'll last even longer. Your eons of existence. Was it the immaterial jhana realms? Something like 84,000 million eons or something? That's a long time. Yeah, 1 eon is pretty long. Imagine like 84,000, not million, sorry, 84,000 eons. It is so still. You don't move. Time has no meaning to you. So time is just a movement of the mind creates time. Actually, time is created by craving. That's the cause of time. Wanting. When you don't crave anything, the time disappears. So it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't take a moment, because it's all the moment there is for nimittas to develop. Ajahn Brahm, do people with little questions to ask after giving clear instructions have lesser doubt? Why some have nimittas coming very early, even before the mind is tranquil enough? The best way to answer the questions is to shut up, be quiet, and find out all the answers in the stillness of the mind. Otherwise, that one question will lead to another question. It's all the mind is moving. That's why I hope, it's never fulfilled, I hope for the end of the retreat there are fewer and fewer and fewer questions. But anyway, it's good to ask the questions. And why do some have nimittas coming very early, even before the mind is tranquil enough? Because as you develop in this meditation retreat more and more, your mind becomes stronger and stronger. The less you do, naturally, no matter if you think you are getting somewhere or you're not getting somewhere, you are getting somewhere. The 5 senses, I compare to my left hand. The right hand is the mind. Usually the 5 senses are so strong, they overpower, they overwhelm the mind. As you in this retreat, because you're doing less, the 5 senses have got not so much to look at, to think about. So the 5 senses are getting subdued. You're spending a lot of time with your eyes closed. Because you're not speaking, you're not listening to very much. Because you're staying still, the body is becoming tranquil. Those 5 senses are getting less and less and less. Your mind is getting more and more energized. And it comes to the point the mind is stronger than the 5 senses. And that's when you start to see nimittas. The mind becomes manifest. It sort of pokes its head above the wall, as it were, then pops down again. But it comes up more and more often. That's all it is. When you see those lights, you're beginning to see your mind. Next question. 8 precepts. Is it meant for the duration of the meditation retreat or every day of our lives, your 8 precepts? It's up to you. It's meant for this moment, at least for this meditation retreat. If you can keep them every day of your life, well, fine, why not? But be careful, because if you're working, sometimes you do need a meal in the evening because you are tired, you need the energy. So you can keep the 8 precepts if you like later on, but if you can't keep the 8 precepts, keep 7 precepts. Or keep 6 precepts if you like. Give up the TV, give up this sort of high luxurious furnishings. It's much cheaper in your house when you've got simple furnishings. And also, you don't need a burglar alarm. Because if the burglars go into a Buddhist house, they think, oh my goodness, they haven't got this big plasma screen TV, because they've got no TV at all, no DVD, no big furniture. Because they're keeping 8 precepts, they've got no jewellery. What a waste of time it is burgling a Buddhist house. You should put a sign in your house, not just we don't keep expensive things in this house, just say, in this house a Buddhist keeping the 8 precepts. It's a waste of your time stealing this. Go to a Christian house. Oh, whatever. Sorry about that. I should have said that. I apologise. You don't have to be afraid of burglars when you keep 8 precepts. So yeah, if you can, be great. Next question. When I meditate, I realize that a hand or a leg of mine would jerk suddenly. I know what the jerk means. You explained it a couple of days ago. After about a minute or so after the jerk, I started seeing dull waves of colour. Am I illusioning? Side. No, usually because you start to relax, the mind is peaceful, the body is peaceful when you get those jerks. And it means that you're getting still. If you start to see colour, it's the start of nimittas. Not real strong nimittas yet, but it's a start. You're not hallucinating. What you saw was real. Next question. Sometimes in my meditation I can see a point appearing in front of me with my eyes closed. What does it mean? Should I hold on to it or should I let it go? There is such a thing called a point limiters, the lights in the mind, but they're very weak, they're a long way away. So it's best to go back to the breath and build up energy of peacefulness, build up more tranquility before you allow the mind to go into those point lights. Why do people see ghosts? Is it because their energy level is too low? Are good meditators more prone to seeing ghosts since they have sharpened senses? Please enlighten us. Thank you. Now, I better be careful here because people in Malaysia, especially Chinese people, are so afraid of ghosts. If I tell you that the more you meditate, the more likely it is you'll see ghosts, maybe you'll give up meditating. But the point is, you'll only see ghosts if you want to, when it gets down to it. And most of the ghosts you see are just your relations, close people who are close to you. And the reason you can see them is because your mind is basically on the same frequency, because you've been around them for a long time, because you've got empathy with your relations. It's called love, it's called concern. Basically, you're on the same frequency as they are, which is why if there's a relation of yours, a close relation, who has an accident in New York, you know it in Malaysia straight away. You feel there's something wrong. And later on they give you a call or you get a letter, they've had an accident. You know it before it happens. Or know it before you're told, but you know it as it happens. And that is very, very common. When I was last in Melbourne, there was the story in the newspaper which someone cut out to give to me. A vet, a doctor of veterinary science in Melbourne, had left the clinic on a Friday afternoon. They were going to a party for the weekend in the countryside. He was travelling in his car alone. Halfway along the journey, he was overcome by this amazing, strong emotion. He couldn't understand why. It was completely out of character. It was so strong he had to stop the car, park by the side of the road, and weep. He just cried his eyes out. He didn't know why. He was a man, he never did that before. And he was just so emotionally distraught, he couldn't drive. He waited until it subsided, dried his eyes, and with a lot of effort, got back into the car and started driving, very carefully at first, and managed to get to the destination. When he got to the destination, there was a message waiting for him. His dog, his pet, had been killed by a car. At exactly the same moment, he had that wave of emotion. 100 kilometers apart, he knew when his pet dog, which he loved dearly, had died. He didn't know exactly what had happened, but he felt so sad, incredibly sad, he couldn't drive the car. He had to stop and weep. That's one story amongst many which happens. You may have had those experiences. So if there's a person which is close to you, like a father or mother, a wife, husband, daughter, whatever, very often you feel them, you hear them, or sometimes you may see them, simply because you're on the same frequency. And you may be in that room and no one else will see them, but you will see them. No one else will hear them, but you will hear them, because you're close to them. If you really get into deep meditation, you want to see lots of ghosts, you can do. But one of the things I will tell you, if you see ghosts, you'll have much more compassion to them. They've got a very bad press, ghosts. They really need a PR person to give them a better reputation. Okay, one last question. First of all, does every one of us need to attend the interview? No, only unenlightened people need to attend the interview. and also those who think they can benefit with some personal advice. So they're completely voluntary. You don't have to go to the interview if you don't want to. Secondly, is it a correct way if I noted both breathing in and out and the rising and falling at the same time? If it works, yeah. If it doesn't work, don't do it. In other words, experiment, innovate, find your own path. And lastly, it really helps a lot from the Q&A session as I progress a little bit more. However, is it appropriate to follow the mind and not control it, as my mind still does not develop much wisdom to not doing certain things? Okay? Experiment. But I tell you, the best way is just to leave it alone, not controlling it. If your mind isn't developing, you find you are controlling the mind. Your fingers are in there somewhere. But sometimes you're not noticing, you're not mindful enough to see how you are manipulating behind the scenes. If you stop manipulating, stop doing things, you stop moving, and the mind gets very still. If it's not getting still, you are not following the instructions. You're still doing something. You're still wanting something. You're still expecting. You're not content. That's why it doesn't work. It's not because the instructions are wrong, it's because you are not following the instructions fully. Okay, so I'll have to stop there. There's still a few questions to go. Maybe I'll do one more and then we finish. Quite a lot. Ajahn Brahm, would you mind explain how do we let go of my body during meditation? Many thanks. You let go of your body stage by stage. First of all, instead of letting go of the whole body immediately, you take one part of the body, focus on that, on the breath. And it's great not to put the breath on any part of your body, to do what I call disembodying the breath. So you know the breath's going in, you know the breath's going out, but you don't know where it's going in. So you have no feeling about your nose, no feeling in your stomach, you just know the breath. That's what I call disembodying. You're allowing more of the body to sort of disappear. If you're focusing on the nose never disappears. That's why sometimes people get tense around there. But if you just disembody the breath, you just know the breath is going in, know the breath is going out, you have more chance for your body to disappear. As you focus on the breath, like focusing on the eye of the bird, the rest of the bird's body disappears little by little, until all you've got left is the head, and then all you've got left is the eyeball, the last part of the body that was the bird. In the same way, when you're meditating on the breath, your feet disappear, your legs disappear, your arm disappears, just like the body of the bird in that simile, which is why I gave that simile at the beginning. This is what's supposed to happen. And after a while, all the person is aware of when they're aiming at the eye of the bird is just that eyeball and nothing else. After a while in meditation, all you're aware of is just the breath. And the rest of the body, you just don't know what it's doing. And if I took a photo of you or a video, you're absolutely still. You've got what's called tranquility of the body. The body's not moving. And it's wonderful to have that. Just so much worry and concern has been abandoned. You've just got the breath. That's just like the eyeball. And to fully let go of the body, you've got to let the eyeball disappear. You have to let the breath disappear. When the breath disappears, you just let it go. Just stay with the breath. It gets more and more refined, more and more peaceful, more and more happy. And then the last thing which is left is the happiness, which turns into the experience of a nimitta. You're watching the mind then. At that point, you have let go of the body. At that point, you can't say, oh, where is my body? Because if you do that, the body comes back immediately. When a thing has disappeared, you don't know it's disappeared. In the same way, when you're watching the TV, you're not aware that the picture on the top has disappeared. You're not aware of it at all. The whole awareness has disappeared. If you start thinking about it, oh, is that picture on top of the television still there or not? Straight away, because you're paying attention to it, it comes back into your consciousness. So it's usually only after the meditation you realize, hang on, I was just watching this nimitta and there was nothing else there. Only afterwards, when you reflect back, you know, yes, it had disappeared, the body had gone. After a while, you become familiar with those disappearing experiences. You know, they're so wonderful, you're not afraid of them at all. In fact, you welcome them. What a relief to let go of this very heavy, burdensome body. So that's what happens. That's how you let go of the body. And now, hopefully, you'll let go of my body to allow it to go to the interview room to answer questions from whoever wants to come. So hopefully you enjoyed those questions and those answers. And the ones which we haven't done, again, will be answered tomorrow, I promise. So happy meditating. See if you can go to the state of cessation in this next sitting. So you come out a non-returner or arhat. Wouldn't it be nice? So see how much you can stop everything. The red light has now appeared in front of you. Stop. And there's a camera on this red light to catch anyone who goes through the red light. Stop. Don't do anything. Your car has to be still. Turn off your engine. Don't even idle the motor. Take the key out. Hand off the steering wheel. And park your body and mind here in Nibbana. Okay?